As we've been reporting all morning, security risks have forced the Canada Revenue Agency to shut down its website. What the full potential for risk is, and what does it mean to you? We have Richard Henderson from Fortinet joining us this morning, and he believes that cybercrime is a billion-dollar industry and people can be doing more to protect themselves. Welcome, Richard. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
So, as we mentioned, people are not going to be filing their taxes online on that site this morning because of this security issue that they're dealing with. What is your understanding about what's happening with the CRA website this morning?
So what's happened with the CRA, and it's not just an issue with the CRA, it's an issue with many sites on the internet right now, is that there's an underlying technology that we've all been trained to use called SSL. And what SSL is, when you type an address into your internet browser, you often see the prefix HTTPS, and you often see the padlock in your address bar, letting you know you're browsing the web securely. And what that means is the communication between your computer and the server is encrypted. Well, there's been a programming flaw found a couple of days ago that allows an attacker to literally steal memory out of the server that you're talking to. And in that memory is often your username, your password, all sorts of other confidential information that you may not want out there. So the CRA has taken the necessary precaution of just shutting things down until they can fix the problem on their servers and then open things back up.
It's very scary for people who are online regularly and even those who use the CRA website. So you're saying that HTTPS is what we normally see, and that's being altered somehow?
Well, yes. We were trained, and we've been told for years to make sure you see the padlock and that S at the start of your web address, and that means you're browsing safely. And what's happened is there's a programming flaw, and you're actually not browsing securely anymore.
Wow. Okay. So what can people expect from the fallout from a breach like this to the CRA website and other sites, as you were saying?
Well, what's probably going to happen over the next couple of days is you will start to get emails from companies like Facebook and Yahoo, if you use Yahoo for mail, and all sorts of other sites, maybe your banks. A full 2/3 of the servers running on the internet use this technology. So you'll start to get emails from those companies saying, hey, there was an issue with this vulnerability. And in the interest of best security practices and just to be safe, we'd like you to reset your password and generate a new password. You may find you'll start to get many emails from many different companies asking you, just in the interest of safety, to change your password.
So perhaps a good recommendation for people to do it anyway and do it today.
No. In fact, That's not the best course of action.
Wow.
Because the flaw is still out there and not everybody has fixed it. So if you go today to a site and you change your password, but that company hasn't fixed the flaw yet, you're still vulnerable to someone stealing your password. So changing your password today may not be the best course of action. You should wait a few more days for companies to fix everything and then go in and change your password. And honestly, to the people listening at home, if I were you, I would change every single password I own for every single online asset you use, whether it's your credit cards, your banks, Facebook, Google, whatever you use. Just to be safe, I would change your passwords.
Well, you're raising some real alarm bells here that this thing is very far-reaching and something that a lot of people should be very concerned about.
2 days ago, it became a pretty big deal among the security community, and we're just starting to make waves outside of the security community. So I expect that there'll be a lot more conversation about this in the next couple of days.
I'm sure there will be, and throughout today on CTV News. Another story that we have been following this morning, investigators say they have found 20,000 stolen credit cards, some skimming machines, some computer hard drives containing card numbers, and it makes us wonder how easy is it for criminals to get our information. Obviously, a sophisticated operation like the one you're talking about online, but we're dealing with cards as well. It seems like the fraudsters are always a step ahead of us.
These guys do a really good job, and most of it's criminal organizations, whether here or overseas. It's a global phenomenon that doesn't just touch the physical world, but it touches the online world. And these criminal gangs have done a fantastic job in integrating the two to be able to forge credit cards and steal people's money, literally by cloning credit cards and using them both online and in the real world. I mean, we all know about the huge breach at Target earlier this year. The people that stole those credit card numbers were selling those credit card numbers online in underground forums. And what was interesting about this specific loss of credit card data was that these guys were smart enough to split up the millions of credit card numbers into geographical regions. So someone could buy 10,000 credit card numbers that belong to people who lived in British Columbia, or 10,000 credit cards to people that live in Washington State. And the reason they do that is because when you clone these credit cards and you go to use them, well, if you steal someone's credit card who lives in Florida and you decide to use it in British Columbia,
alarm bells are going to go off for the credit card company.
The credit card company's fraud detection systems will usually detect those geographical discrepancies and say, hey, something's not right here. We should put a freeze on the card and call the card holder. But if you live in New West and you use your credit card in Richmond, it's probably not going to set off an alert.
It's not going to raise any flags. Okay, so quickly, I want to get through these 5 steps that everyone should be taking to protect themselves from identity theft. Walk us through them. The first one is keeping your computers up to date.
Yeah, so one of the biggest ways that people install viruses on your computers these days is by taking advantage of vulnerabilities in the software that's currently on your computer that you haven't fixed. So whether you're using a Windows or Mac, and you see these alerts that pop up in your little system tray, it says, hey, there's new software that needs to be updated. Do you want to install it now or do you want to wait? Always install it as soon as possible.
Okay. Sorry, we have to move along here.
Yeah.
Use the antivirus solutions. Minimize the attack surface. What does that mean?
So what that means is if you're using software on your browser that you don't need to use anymore, like Java or other technologies, get rid of it. Flash, things like that. If you don't need to use it, get it off your computer.
Okay, use a separate browser and maintain email security.
Right, so use a separate browser means you should always use a separate browser, whether it's Chrome or Firefox or Internet Explorer or whatever, just for banking and online transactions. Another one for your day-to-day surfing. Email security means you should treat every email that comes into your inbox as potentially suspicious, and don't click on anything in an email unless you're 110% sure it's from who you think it's from. And if it's wrong, call the bank.
Just do it right away.
Yeah.
Wow. You've certainly given us a lot to think about this morning. Thank you, Richard, for joining us this morning. To review these tips or pass them on, you can go to our website, ctvmorninglive.ca.